Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and Goldman Sachs is warning investors not to ignore Bitcoin any longer. And this comes after, of course, a lot of people from Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan have been speculating on Bitcoin, looking at, they were saying, well, it could hit about 50,000 eventually. Actually, not that long ago, they were speculating in the next few years it could hit $4,000. Well, actually, as we speak at this moment, at least when we're doing this video, it's climbing fast, folks. So by the time I get this video up, it might be above this, but Bitcoin is at about 4,300 US dollars. And less than a month ago, it was at 1,800 US dollars after a massive breather correction.
On Friday it was 3,500.
Absolutely. It's growing fast. Actually, yeah, 6 days ago I was saying on steemit.com in an article that Bitcoin was at 3,400 and it's on a upward trajectory, big rally. A lot of people were saying $5,000 by the end of the year, but it's looking like it's going to be more so. We will see a correction soon. But on the topic of Goldman Sachs, a lot of people are, worried when these big banksters start talking about Bitcoin. But the fact is, up is up and down is down. And when you look at something like Bitcoin, you can say that the sky isn't blue all you want, but the sky is blue, and that's the fact. And what we're seeing with Bitcoin is a massive rally following a massive correction. And one has to understand that obviously, yeah, these bankers are going to want to get involved in Bitcoin. They're going to want to be able to bring themselves more wealth, of course, because the banksters are actually trying to mimic Bitcoin, but at a centrally planned scale in order to create a clone of Bitcoin that's completely centrally planned and in their benefit, because they are able to extort people and push people into debt using it. But Bitcoin is not part of that agenda. People keep saying Bitcoin is the mark of the beast. Well, why would the mark of the beast be unable to be controlled? The blockchain is encrypted incredibly to the point where you can't manipulate the blockchain, and it costs tens of billions of dollars to try and pump and dump it, only for the value to still go up anyways in the long run. So, John, what do you think about these revelations by Goldman Sachs?
Well, it's pretty obvious, of course. Goldman Sachs and others, they love making money, so
Yeah.
of course they want to be in on something that's going to take off, and it's going to go further and further. Remember, we talked about the market cap, of course, and the market cap of Bitcoin is substantially, gone up from when I got involved at 700 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's at 50 billion, basically, close to 50 billion, I believe.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is
the market cap actually for Bitcoin is, I think, far above 60 billion, heading towards 70 billion right now.
Yeah, so it all values itself from that market cap. Most of the price actually are, if you run the price now versus the price and then divide it by X amount of Bitcoins,
Yeah.
you'll basically, you take the market cap and divide it by X amount of Bitcoins, you basically are sitting on and finding that market price. That's what's happening right now, and people are gonna continue to buy into this because of course Bitcoin has a limited amount of Bitcoins in circulation. So there is Bitcoin is the digital gold. It was based on gold when Satoshi Nakamoto created it in the first place. He was explaining that in his white paper. And of course, Bitcoin will be a way out of the current failing system because it is failing substantially now.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing so many different things around the world, and we're going to talk about some other articles soon that's going to tell us how bad it really is in the monetary system.
But Bitcoin, there will only ever be 21 million coins created. It's being halved on a regular basis every 4 years, I think, and then cut down and cut down and cut down. So there's that scarcity. Right now there's 16.5 million Bitcoins created, and it should take till like 2180 or something crazy like that.
I think it's 2100, that limit is to be maximized.
So people talk about intrinsic value. So something like gold. Gold has intrinsic value subjectively depending on the definition. So yeah, I believe in gold and silver more than anything. And then I do believe in Bitcoin as well. But what gives gold its value? Well, it's a scarcity and the demand. There's not that much gold on this planet, The supply gets more scarce, the value goes up, and people want it because the physical value is based on the scarcity and the demand. It's not yeah, it has uses, but it's not like all just about, well, I can hold it in my hands. There's a new revolution in the monetary system happening where Bitcoin is also based on the scarcity and the demand.
Well, the people created their own monetary system without the bank's collusion, right? Like the banks have always throughout time, you always had the banks or the central banks creating the money, right? Or the kings or queens at certain times. So now you've seen the people are coming out with their version of the monetary system. But then also what you're seeing is a massive shift, of course, in technology that have made this possible, first of all. But then I'm going to say one more thing about gold that makes it valuable, and it's, of course, that it never disappears.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing that I really believe gives it value. It doesn't matter intrinsic or supply and demand.
It can't be ether, yeah.
No. Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about gold and silver, and obviously silver most of all, too. But, I mean, people are taking sides. It's either gold or it's Bitcoin.
No, it's both. They work the same to topple the system.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, it comes down to that scarcity and the demand. Yes, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies that they print billions and billions and billions of coins or tokens, and I don't agree with that system. I don't support that system. I support Bitcoin because, first of all, Bitcoin is king in the crypto world. Bitcoin continues to grow in value. It will continue to grow in value. At the 7-year average daily rate of growth, Bitcoin should hit $250,000 by the year 2020, and even higher because speculation seems to be off the table in a lot of ways with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin continues to grow way above any speculation. And yes, we are heading towards about $5,000 per Bitcoin, and yes, there will be quite a correction around that number. Some people argue that no, it's just people flooding the market and we won't see a correction. Well, when something grows that much in such a short amount of time,
always see corrections.
There'll be people taking profits, and then with the people taking profits, there's going to be people who are newbies to the market and freaking out, and they'll sell off out of fear.
Stock market.
Yeah, exactly. But it'll bounce back up because of the scarcity and the demand. And Bitcoin's uses are growing on a daily basis. There's a lot of problems with it when it comes to transactions, but for the most part, it's a beautiful thing. And we're watching a lot of anarchists and libertarians become millionaires because of it.
Well, what the main reason is, people get out of the system. They're not a part of this centrally planned, corrupt system. That's the biggest scam in humankind that we've ever have seen. So now people are able to kind of hide their money outside of that, and of course people are doing it because they see what's coming. We've had people like us and Ron Paul and others been out there forever talking about this failing system, and now of course there's options there. Of course gold and silver is heavily manipulated. I just take my gold and silver and then shove it in my safe, and that's it. I don't even care about the price.
Because when that fiat empire falls, the chains will break in the banking system, where they have all these crazy ETFs and the derivatives, etc. But it's interesting because this flood towards Bitcoin is a sign of the times. It's people are losing faith in the fiat system. And when you look at Google Trends, the amount of people looking up Bitcoin is higher than ever. And it's not just some banker pump, as a lot of people are claiming on my Facebook posts.
Well, there's bankers, yes.
But it's not just
it's also
that.
The populace are coming in and seeing the value of it.
There's a growth in demand. Or
just seeing, of course, that it is a huge investment opportunity.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So it's decentralized. It's not controlled. It's not the same thing as fiat, because the whole basis of fiat is that it's centrally planned and created out of thin air to such a vast scale that there is no demand.
Upon you.
And forced upon you via the legal tender laws. Absolutely. So people have to get a better grasp of what Bitcoin is. I mean, it bugs me because there's a lot of people that with very little research just equate it to fiat. It's not the same thing. The problem with fiat isn't necessarily that it's printed out of thin air. It's the fact that it's printed out of thin air into oblivion, where there is no scarcity, no demand, no cap. If there was, if they came out with fiat and said, we aren't going to centrally plan it, and we are going to put a cap of, say, 100 million bills or something, then I'd say, okay, well, there's going to be an increase in demand for that currency. But what leads to inflation, what leads to these crashes, is the fact that they just print and print and print and print, and these crazy interest rates and just vast manipulation. And with Bitcoin, the only way you can really manipulate it, like I said, was if you were to put tens and tens of billions of dollars into the system and then pull it out, but that still wouldn't crash it. And unlike with fiat, where they just create, and then it builds this huge monetary centrally planned bubble, and it just bursts and it all comes crashing down, as every fiat currency always had, because the intrinsic value of fiat currency is zero, and the intrinsic value of Bitcoin is based in the scarcity and the demand, as is gold and silver. So I really think that people ought to start looking closer at what brings value, rather than just saying, well, because it's physical. Well, yeah, because it's physical can bring a lot of great things to like a lot of great fundamentals forward. Yes, you can create things with it, blah, 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 blah. But Bitcoin has that demand outside of the scarcity, based on the fact that you can use it to hide your money from being stolen. You can use it to buy things on the free market. You can use it to bring down the central banking system. And this is a huge differentiation between Bitcoin and the centrally planned cashless society that's being pushed on us through legal tender laws and crazy regulations throughout the world, like in India, China, Sweden, Australia, Canada, and the list goes on. So, John, what do you think is the bottom line?
Well, the bottom line is Bitcoin is gonna keep on going and get stronger as our current monetary system is failing. Because there's not very many options to try to hide your money from the monetary system, and Bitcoin is here to stay, guys. No matter what you think or not that it's a bubble, it's I think it's more of a sign of the times that we have a failing system, and finally the people with technology actually created their own system that is outside of the control of any kings, queens, or government. And I think that is just that gives it intrinsic value, really, when you think about it, because it's a system that's not controlled by anyone. Of course, there is people that have substantial amounts of Bitcoin that was there at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people that will try to manipulate it, but long term you cannot. Just like there's a lot of people trying to manipulate, and more successfully, gold and silver, and in the long run it will come down and gold and silver will go up.
But when you think about it, the people that actually created this system is the ones that have the most, of course, because they were the first one mining it. So I think they deserve a little bit of those bitcoins, because they created something that
very
totally
innovative,
have revolutionized everything that
we ever thought we knew about the monetary system.
And with Bitcoin also came the blockchain technology, which is highly revolutionary for. That we can implement for good, not for, of course, the evil that the government and our monetary system wants.
Yeah, things like Steemit, where people have the demand with their upvote and their belief or their vote in a certain said piece of work, like an article or a video, where they can upvote it and say, I like what you do, and I'm going to bring that demand on your product up, instead of doing the same thing on Facebook and making nothing. It's a revolutionary
thing. Or YouTube, because you get demonetized and you're not getting any money from your post.
Yeah, now there's DTube.
Just the ad revenue goes straight to YouTube instead for the actual demand of your article.
Absolutely, as we are so vastly demonetized. But I mean, there's DTube now. That's DTube, which is attached to Steemit. And
very exciting. I'm very excited about this. Josh just showed it to me yesterday. We just have, like, literally has come out quite recently.
There's a few bugs, but it just launched a few days ago, and I put 2 videos up on there so far. And again, it's linked into Steemit, so people upvote you and you get cryptocurrency. And yeah, you can transfer that to fiat if you want, or you can keep it as an investment in Steam, or I wouldn't keep SBD personally. I just sell my SBD to Bitcoin, etc., etc. But it's a great innovation, and I'll tell you more about it soon as I get more of a hang of it. But When it comes down to it, I heard someone else tell me today that Bitcoin is the same as X's and O's. You just create X's and O's. Well, no. I mean, X's and O's don't have scarcity and demand, man.
Oh, if
Bitcoin.
you have time on your hand, there's no scarcity and demand there.
No, you
well,
can.
I
Yeah.
guess the amount of paper in the world that you could write X's and O's on.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense. It's a false equivalency, and it's just something that people have to start understanding that there's more to Bitcoin than just hot air, unlike fiat.
Well, there's
So
billions of data equipment actually running the system.
yeah, and if the internet goes down, there's always a alternative internets. There's paper wallets. There's USB drives that you can store Bitcoin on. There's so many other options. So the concerns of people are largely overemphasized when it comes down to the reality of how you can keep your money safe in this system. Again, this is my opinions. I'm not giving anyone sound advice here. I'm just saying from my personal opinion, I prefer gold and silver, but I think people have to take a better look at Bitcoin because Bitcoin isn't going away anytime soon, and it is actually an incredible innovation and system that isn't, as a lot of people say, fiat. And Goldman Sachs, they're trying to make a few dollars on the side. Yeah, of course, they're a bank, and they see that there is demand in it, and they're trying to do that. Once I actually see, like, the Federal Reserve say, we are going to adopt Bitcoin as our currency and centrally plan it, then that'll be different. But they can't do that because it's on the blockchain and it can't be centrally planned.
Well, to a certain point, you can make sure that you have processing power enough, but that's for another talk.
Well, yeah, but you can't create more than what's already being created on the algorithm at these certain dates and times. So I think that that's really important to mention.
That's why they're going to create their own coin. They're not going to adapt Bitcoin. Like, people that think that they're going to adapt Bitcoin, that's... No, it's never gonna happen. It's gonna come like the US dollar, digital Norwegian krona. That's gonna be attached to, of course, the special drawing rights.
Yeah, of course, SDR world currency. And look, I mean, there are a lot of great altcoins, but also be careful with the altcoins because there's a lot of them that totally go right off message from what Bitcoin was meant to be, and they print, like I said,
it's like penny
18
stocks,
billion. Yeah, coins.
A lot of them are, these ICOs are penny stocks opportunities. They want to, become really rich.
And some of them actually are pump and dump. So be careful. Be careful, folks. There are a lot of schemes out there. Be responsible, financially responsible. But isn't it nice that we can bring you kind of somewhat of a solution to all these problems that we talk about? It's not so negative, is it? And I really think that you should really start checking out Bitcoin if you haven't already. Everyone I know that I convinced to get into it has made huge dividends in the past few months alone, and it's not ending anytime soon. We will see a major correction soon, but that's not going to stop the long-term
trajectory. Start using it. I've used Bitcoin back in 2013 to buy pizzas.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of countries that already have stores all over the place that accept Bitcoin.
Well, this is one fun thing here in Winnipeg. Actually, one of our biggest stores that sell furniture. He actually, when you bought something at his store, his name is David Keem. When you bought something at his store, he actually gave away half of a Bitcoin. A quarter of a Bitcoin, but think about what that is now. Like, he just did that a couple of weeks ago. So people have made a lot of money on just buying furniture because he was one of the early adopters in Winnipeg.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, thanks for talking with us, John. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We really can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated as we are demonetized on almost everything. YouTube is going after us. The Anti-Defamation League is attacking us from left and right because apparently what we say is hate speech and terrorism. And I really think that people ought to do whatever they can, if they can, to help independent media. Not just ours, but the others as well, because we're getting attacked hardcore. It's terrible, and we need a solution fast. Also, check our Bitcoin address in the description and the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And John, you're about to say something?
Well, I said the only terrorists out there are the banksters, the central bankers, and those that are terrorizing people and stopping their free speech.
Absolutely, on both sides.
Yeah.
And also, check me out at Josh Sigurdson, and check John out at The Economic Truth, at steemit.com. That's steemit.com, the future of social media, as dinosaur social medias like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram try their best to censor everyone and shut them down. Well, Steemit is the answer, and you can make money, as I mentioned earlier in the report, off your posts via the upvote and the demand of your post in Steem, and you can trade it for other cryptocurrencies if you want, but it's just an incredible thing. I really hope that you get on this innovative platform. It's growing by the day, and the demand and the potential is just mountain high. So thanks for going into this with us, John. And also, I almost forgot, I can't forget this. Check out John's new book, Canada, the Greatest Economy in the World, ? At Amazon.com. We'll put a link below as well, and we hope you check this book out, because it's not just for Canadians, it's for everyone. It's a very important book for you to read. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.